Good news, everybody. Good news. Christmas, done. Gone. New Year, done. Gone. Everything's back to normal. Thank God. Brr. I hate Christmas. Brr. Anyway, I'm going to give you a quick, short video today. Bit more Photoshop. Here we've got a white-tailed sea eagle doing something you very, very rarely see. Inland, feeding on a carcass buried in snow. Yeah. I'm just going to come back over to Lightroom to discuss the image. Now, I'm quite liking the colour cast in the background. I'm quite liking the colour of the bird in the midtones and the highlights. The snow is not the right colour. It's got a colour cast on it. The other thing is the darker parts of the bird have also got a bit of a cast on them. And what I'm going to show you today is something that I frequently tend to do to my images, especially when I'm going to do a print, because there's nothing worse than shadows in a print that have got a colour cast to them. Nothing worse. Now, we can't actually achieve much of a better colour balance to this image inside the likes of Lightroom, because the first thing you notice is the snow is not the right colour. But if we go and attempt to do a white balance off the snow, then the whole image goes very dull, grey, a little bit on the cool side, and that's not something I want. I mean, the snow looks great, but the bird's gone a bit magenta. It's just doesn't look right. So we will step backwards. And I was there when I took this picture, obviously. Not that I ever take pictures when I'm not there. Oh God, I do talk crap when I'm talking to a camera. But it's a Murrayism, Murray Walker. Yes. I quite like everything apart from the snow. And I could do with the darker parts of the bird looking a bit more neutral. Now, as I said, it's very difficult to impossible to do this in Lightroom, but if we nip over to Photoshop, like that, I'm now going to show you something really simple, and I would strongly advise everybody to do this, if they feel it necessary, of course. So we've got our image open as a background layer. If we come down to the Add New Adjustment layer or Fill layer icon down at the bottom here, if we now go and add a solid colour layer at 50% grey, rather like that, doesn't that look epic? It looks bloody wonderful, doesn't it? But if we come into the empty part of the layer name here and double click, we'll get our blending options. Now if I get the highlight slider, and as I slide it to the left, you'll start to see the underlying layer coming through. And I'm going to slide it to the point where the grey has gone from the snow and the majority of it has gone from the background. And we're just left with it in the darker areas of the eagle itself. Now I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and I'm going to split that highlight slider, and I'm now going to move the left hand slider down until I start to get a decent feather to that grey area. Still looks awful, doesn't it? Until I go and swap the blending mode to colour. Now look at that. If I go and click OK, we'll turn it off, and now we'll turn it on. I've still kept the general colour of the bird in the midtones, but the darker and shadowy parts of the bird are now a lot more neutral in colour, so they've gone very dark, but they've not gone black. What we're then going to do is to replicate the same operation by adding a new solid colour layer, 50% grey, click OK, come to the empty part of the layer name, double click, pull up the blending layer options, or the blend if options I should say, and now take the shadow slider over to the right, and we'll gradually reveal the bird, and we'll take it to about there. Then we'll hold down the Alt key and we'll split off the right side of that slider and feather it so it disappears from the background and disappears somewhat from the brighter parts of the snow, but now we can see the graduations in tonality in the snow. And then we'll switch that into the colour blend mode like that and click OK. And now you can see we've bettered the colour balance in the snow. It's still got a little tiny tint of colour in there. It's not brilliant white. We could make it brilliant white or a lot whiter if we go back into the blend if options and we take the left hand slider and we move it slightly to the left, and take the right hand slider or right hand part of the slider and move it slightly to the right, and we'll just go and click OK again. And so if I hold down the Alt key, there's our before shot and there's our after shot. So we've got cleaner whites in the snow, cleaner darks in the shadow areas, but we've kept the nice mid-tone coloration. And if we've got any changes in the background, what we can do is just click on the layer mask for the white shift, which is this top one here, and we can just get a brush, paint in with black, and we can just go into the very bright parts of the background and just roughly mask them out so we can see the majority of the underlying original background. So there you go. That is just a very quick tip on how to really clean your images up. And the other thing we've done is, because we've made the darks not darker, but we've made them cleaner because we've removed the colour cast from them, and we've made the whites in the foreground in the snow, we've made the highlights cleaner, therefore we perceive them as being brighter white. We've actually generated a perceived increase in contrast, but it's not a contrast increase based on luminosity. It's a contrast increase based purely on colour and hue. Okay, so always remember, contrast does apply just in colour. Anyway, there you go guys, hope you found that useful. Go and try it on some of your own images. I'm sure you will really appreciate that little quick tip there. And so if you've enjoyed it, consider becoming one of my patrons, where you'll get access to all sorts of patron only videos and articles on there. And I also do a lot of personal videos for my patron members that not even the other patron members can see. So we do quite a few personal one-to-one videos as well. So head off over to my Patreon site if it's something you fancy expressing an interest in and maybe helping support me on this YouTube channel. I'll be very grateful. And so there you go. I'll put the link below or above or at the end of this video. And until the next time guys, stay safe, stay well, keep taking the pictures, and I shall see you very soon. Yes, I will. Promise. Cheerio.